Welcome to the Empowered Money Girl, where we break down the barriers to financial confidence, celebrate women's wins, and reveal the secrets to living boldly and well. I'm your host, Josette Mandela. Today's guest, Nio Queiro, is a visionary leader and founder of the Cairo Group, a consultancy specializing in organizational transformation, AI implementation, mergers and acquisitions, and leadership development, with a distinguished career spanning executive roles, including Senior Vice President of Revenue Cycle at Tufts Medicine, Chief Strategy Officer at Nashville General Hospital, and currently Chief Product Officer at Lateral Care. Nio has shaped strategy and innovation for major healthcare organizations. A best-selling and award-winning author, Nio penned Joy Notes, Balancing Trauma with Triumph, and co-authored Women Thrive, Volume 4. She's also the co-host of the Joy and Gratitude podcast, providing practical insights to help listeners untangle and enrich their lives. Recognized as one of the modern healthcare's top 25 innovators in 2021, and among Black leaders worldwide top 100 Black women leaders in 2024, Nio is a passionate advocate for healthcare transformation. She has presented to Congress and the Joint Chiefs of Staff and is a sought-after national speaker and educator, serving as an adjunct professor at Tufts University. Nio champions patient, personal, and professional empowerment, leveraging her expertise to drive meaningful change across the healthcare sector and beyond. Please welcome the brilliant, bold, and beautifully disruptive Nio Queiro.
Wow, what an honor. I'm so excited to speak to your audience and just have a conversation with you, Josette. It's a great time.
Thank you for joining us. And so can you take us back to the beginning? What was your path like that got you to where you are today?
You know, it's funny because it's a journey of continuous improvement and learning. You know, I started my career actually as an HIM professional, which is Health Information Management professional. And I think that brought the curiosity because I was very much into understanding healthcare information. And from there, I said, how could I use all of my talents? And my curiosity took me into the world of finance. And as I dove in from being a consultant with Deloitte and working for major organizations as a leader in healthcare, I noticed that there was something missing. It was easy to help organizations find their sustainability financially, but the humanity was going away. And that's when I transitioned and started learning about organizational development, learning about bringing leadership into an empathetic and focused about the growth of the human person and seeing the person fully. You know, how do you create teams that are able to continuously improve and surpass you as the leader? That became my focus. And I did it in the consulting realm, and I did it within my own organization. When I was at Tufts, we had the highest engagement scores, but it was because it was all about making that team thrive. That was my personal mission. And now, as a leader, my mission is to help patients in their advancement of their personal curated care, but also help organizations care for their patients as a whole person, from the financial to dealing with the actual core reason for their illness and how they manage that particular disease. So I believe in a closed loop effect, and my area of expertise happens to be healthcare, but it really can go to any area. And while you're doing it, you find that you also find your own financial wholeness in transcending the way that you do business to a purposeful manner.
That sounds amazing. And so how did you figure out that leadership was the way that you wanted to go so that you could really kind of get your message out there and really help people rather than just staying in your little box, if you will?
For me, it was tragedy that brought me to that um, realization. Um, I was minding my own business in 2021 um, on my way to get my hair done, and my life completely changed. I ended up on a floor with glass all around me as I crashed through a shower door. And there I was, and I realized that the world was never going to be the same, and it wasn't. I ended up having 2 cardiac arrests, um, having to go through an ECMO process that all the blood comes out of your body and they reoxygenate it and they put it back in your body. And I had a major abdominal occlusion and obstruction that literally necrosed my intestines, and they had to take 9 feet of intestine out. So my life changed completely. I had to get a new stomach. I had to learn how to walk again because they opened up all my muscles and my walking was, impaired. I literally was on a feeding tube, on different tubes just to survive. And at the same time, here I was, this leader. And I said, what have I learned from this? What is the purpose that God brought me back? I'm a woman of faith. So I said, Lord, why am I here? And the answer was to use your talents to make things better. So I learned how to care for myself, and I learned that I had to first focus on making myself a better leader, be a leader of people, not a leader of functions. It's a difference. And once I really not only learned by going back to school and getting certifications on neuroscience coaching, getting certification on energy practitioner leadership, and also understanding how to be a better person so I could show up for my team, then I felt that the purpose was for me to share it with others. So for me, it was a transformational personal thing. And then it's my job as a lifelong learner and instructor. I've been teaching at many universities my whole life to share. And that's the way that whole transformation happened.
Wow, what a story. I can't even imagine being in the shower and suddenly finding myself on the floor and wow.
Yeah, it was insane. 103 fever. My husband, went to get my hair done, and I ended up going home because I was just so disoriented and said, "Oh, I'm just hot." He kept saying, "Let's go to the ER." And I'm like, "Oh no, I just need a shower." And I crashed right through the glass, and there I was, little cuts all over. He calls the EMS, and they come and they're just like, what's going on? And the thing about it is, in life, you're a minute away from the unknown.
Yeah.
And you just don't know what's going to happen. It could be a car accident, it could be anything. You just don't know. But if you're living your life fully, then it's okay because you're able to deal with it. I stopped living what I call the functional life, doing my tasks, getting the accomplishments that you're supposed to, but not understanding who I was as a full person. And I moved from that to understanding who am I if I eliminate the title, if I eliminate my marital status, if I eliminate whether I'm a parent or not. And you ask me, who are you? How do I answer that question? And how I answer that question, I'm a lifelong learner. I am a teacher. And I am a person that seeks experiences that impact others to make their lives fuller because I grow from them too. That's who I am. And when you start knowing who you are, you see, your finances will always be limited by the fact that you're refusing to deal with yourself. You see, when you're refusing to deal with yourself, you spend unnecessarily, right? You do things that you don't need to. When you understand who you are, then you focus on your experiences. You focus on understanding that money is there for it to be a vehicle for your life. It is not there in a sense of a survival situation. And so many people will hoard their money and never experience their money. Money's there to be experienced, but it's also there to work for you. So all that happens when you first understand who you are.
Oh, that's such an interesting way of looking at money. that it's there for you to experience, not wow. I love that. So how would you define financial independence and how would you know if you've achieved it?
I think financial independence is when I am not living my life to pay bills. I am not living my life, counting pennies. And I don't value success by looking at a label and what I've obtained. You see, when the finances are not tied to my ego, they're tied to using my finances for basically being able to experience my life and to be able to give back to others. That is financial freedom. When you're not, oh my God, can I pay that bill? When that is eliminated, when you are, okay, what am I going to do with the blessing that I have? How do I use it successfully? Now, the thing about it, to get there is discipline. You have to understand that if you want your money to work for you, you treat it as a leader the same way you treat your job, in the sense that you have to have some discipline mechanisms and you have to have goals associated to them that make that money work. So if you look at money the same way that you look at the way that you do your business, the way that you do your job, then money will work for you. But if you're in a situation that you're just, oh, I'm going to do this thing and I'm going to do this thing, and you're doing all these side hustles, let me tell you, you're just spending a lot of energy everywhere, but you're not focusing on how that money can truly work for you. You're not focusing on how you spend your money wisely and what return on investment it can do for you.
Wow, it sounds like you have an incredible relationship with your money. Was it always that way or did it
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think that I'm no different than all women. You know, we like the shiny new bag. We like the shiny new outfit. I love cars. So, I like speed cars and all those things. Um, and there was a time that was the focus, right? Is the obtaining. In my case, I wasn't obtaining to get accepted. Some of us obtain to get accepted into a group or to belong. You know, that was never important to me. That has never been important to me. I'm blessed that I was raised that is not how you define yourself. So just my parents were amazing people that, for Thanksgiving, it was about us making food and handing out food. And that was our family. That was our community. There was always strangers at the table. So I didn't have those preconceived needs to have a label on. But everybody likes nice things. And, you know, it's almost like a verification that I've reached this status level. And then, like I said, when I had, even before I had that major tragedy, as I got older and I became a parent and I put my son through school and so on, I realized that I did not have to be chasing money. I needed to experience money. And I would say when my son went to college was my turning point. And that's a natural turning point for most parents. It's like we've been supplying, making sure they get into, this club, their favorite activity. We're racing. We're racing towards money to take care of all these things. And then there's that, oops, life is changing. I'm an empty nester. And that's when you start saying, well, how am I using money for my future? When do I retire? When do I enjoy it? How do I enjoy it? And that was my turning point. That's when I had to sit down and have a conversation with my money. And that's really the way it started.
Okay, that sounds interesting. And so what advice do you have for women that are just starting on their financial journey, and especially if they've been relying on a partner for their stability? But I don't know about you, but for me, I don't think women should be relying on that partner.
So I've been married twice. I was divorced with my son's father when my son was only 3 years old. So I was a single parent for a very long time before I met my current husband. One thing I learned, even back then, is you must have a relationship with your money. You work for it, it is yours. You have a contribution to the house, that is the house account, but you must have your personal account. Do not give yourself a limited belief that you don't understand math, that you don't understand finances. Darling, there's so many wonderful, your podcast is a wonderful source of information for women to start understanding how to use their money, how to make sure their money is growing and working for them. You must start from day one. Don't wait like I did until I was in my late 40s to figure it out. I say figure it out early on. My daughter-in-law, when they got married, I sat her down and I said, okay, you're going to have an account for yourself. And here's my broker, and you're going to work on that account. And when we're ready, and when you're ready to have a baby, we're going to talk about how that looks. Because you are your own person. You cannot be reliant on someone else to curate your journey and your future. Something can happen. I almost died. That can happen to your husband. That can happen to your significant other. And what happens if that person all of a sudden says, you know what, this isn't working for me, and you're left alone? Why are you going to be a victim when you can be setting your own path? When my ex said goodbye, I took care of it because I had my own money. I was able to still keep my home, to still keep, because I was employed and I always had my own bank account. And I was always able to create my own money. Live under your means. Live under your means. Nobody cares if you have the Chanel bag. Nobody. Reality, nobody. Understand that that bag doesn't define you, and you can't get a return on investment on that bag. It's that simple. It's just cute. And it's cute for a season, because next year there'll be a different one. So live under your means. Understand that the max you should live at is 65% of your needs. 35% should be, number one, if you're a person of faith, you have to give your tithe, but the rest should be going into different accounts to support your life experience and your future. So understand that money's your friend. Don't be scared of it. Don't be scared of math. Do you know that women, we're more mathematically sound than men are? We do recipes. We're able to make food. That's all math. We take care of our children. That's all math. If you think about the timing that we have to get them from point A to point B, that's all math. Math is your friend. And math is the way we calculate money. So please embrace your relationship with your money. You can be unstoppable.
Oh, that's such a great way of looking at it, that there's so many things in our lives that we do that involve math, and yet we are constantly, as women, something happened when we were in grammar school and we had a bad experience in math, and all of a sudden we think, no, we can't do math. And it's just stupid.
Well, you know, to tell you the truth, it happened because when we got to school, as soon as we got to school, our teachers tell us that girls are bad at math. I was blessed because my mother was a math teacher. So as a kid, at 4 years old, I knew all my multiplication tables. I knew how to do long division because my mom made everything a math kind of situation. Even when I was playing the piano, you know, she explained to me how music's relationship was with math. And I was blessed to have that connection with math. And that's how I ended up in finance. You know, I love math. It just makes sense to me. But ladies, if you want to know about math, look at all the women scientists and mathematicians that have shaped our world. We do not have a problem with math. We have people that have wanted us to have a problem with math because they don't want us to surpass them. That's all it is. It's a limited belief that you do not need to own. You just don't need to own it.
So speaking of identity, how do you manage your identity and your personal power outside of your job title or relationships? It seems like you have a really good balance.
You know, for me, it's volunteering. I get an opportunity to spend time with a lot of people, and I'm a sponge. I just really enjoy learning from others. I was able to just recently um, go to Spain for a media tour for my book that's actually coming out in Spanish in October. Thank you. And it was wonderful. And I was there with women from all over the world, Ukraine, Russia, Spain, UK, Australia. It was like amazing. And we had such an incredible time all together. And what we found out, no matter where we were and came from, we had the same problems. And we were really learning from each other. And I think my whole thing is I am living my best life, you know, and I am living, finding my joy and happiness, and also deep in gratitude. I wake up meditating in gratitude and then figuring out what impact I can do for the day. What are the opportunities and what did I learn? And that's what keeps me in balance. It really is. And, one thing with my husband and I, we try to figure out how to outkind each other. How do we take care of each other and how do we bring more kindness to each other? And laughter is the strongest thing that you can have. Laugh at yourself because I don't care who you are, there's always something to laugh at. you know. So I keep it really, really simple. And I'm just at a point in my life that simple works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. And I love that. Learn to laugh at yourself and outkind your partner, that because there's just far too much violence and ugliness in the world right now. We have got to find a way to kind of spread that message that everyone around you, come on, let's be kind.
Mm-hmm. And I will tell you, change in the world happens locally. You see, it's like an engine. It happens locally. If you start going out and doing things and volunteering and literally leading with kindness, leading with understanding that everybody needs a voice and everybody's really seeking to belong and to be safe.
Mm.
And you create those environments. Little by little, others join you. And that's how change happens. Change doesn't happen at the national level. It happens in your ecosystem. So you, that one person, can impact so many. So you be the voice. You be the action. Don't be a bystander in your life. Be an active participant. And that's all I'm trying to do. You know, whether it's with the neighbor, whether it's with the person at the checkout desk, it doesn't matter. Be there for them. Give them a chance to smile. Say the thank you. Appreciate. Just change the narrative from judgment to love.
Yeah, that is amazing. So what's next for you?
What's next is I have 2 books that will be coming out within 2025 and 2026, and really expanding the community of leadership and women's leadership and women understanding that they can create their own boardrooms if they're not allowed in others' boardrooms, and empowerment. So a lot of fun things are going to come in the future for the Joy Note community. And our podcast is really going to be, it already is a great vibe and energy to finding your personal flow and being able to have the strength to be the leader. It's that safe space for you to develop your leadership skills. And sometimes we just need a safe space, right? That nobody's pushing you anywhere, that you can say, I got to work on this. And that's what our podcast is about. So I'm leaning more into the leadership side of my business. I'm enjoying it. And it's also helping with AI. Because you see, AI is only as good as the leaders that lead it. And one thing that we are going to learn very quickly, you can have all the automation, you can have all the robotics, but the human experience, that can't be replicated. And we have to never let that disappear. So that's my mission, is to help people really support their own personal experience, but also expand humanity in healthcare and leadership.
So if there was one message that you could give to women listening today about owning their own independence, what would it be?
Take a step. Look at yourself in the mirror. You know the things that are holding you back. Take one step forward. And tomorrow, take another step. And if you trip, recover. A little Band-Aid doesn't hurt anybody. But every day, take a step. Take a step closer to your dream. Take a step closer to your financial freedom. Take a step. It's your journey, nobody else's. Don't listen to the left. Don't listen to the right. Listen to your gut and take a step.
That is such great advice. Take a step. And I want to thank you for joining us today. And a huge thank you to Nio Queiro for sharing her wisdom and energy with us. Now, if you found this value in this conversation, please subscribe, leave a review, and share the Empowered Money Girl with your friends. The more we spread these stories, the more women we can empower to live boldly, both financially and in every part of your life. Until next time, keep thriving and remember, your journey to empowerment starts with you.